Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, there's been a lot of talk about possibly replacing Joe Biden ahead of the convention. Clips like this have spawned the speculation once again.
Polling guru Nate Silver put it pretty starkly this week, saying if Biden is trailing by 3 points in August, he'll be a big underdog. And if it's 5 or 6 points, it's unsalvageable. And Biden at that point should consider stepping aside, Brad.
You know, look, we've seen in the past, Mika, that candidates who are seen as maybe not as strong on the economy ultimately win an election, like, say, Barack Obama in 2012. But to be losing by this margin, that is unsustainable at this point for an incumbent.
There might be a strategy at the last second to ditch Biden, but the question is, of course, how's that going to work? Who's going to replace him? I think as much as the Democrats might even want to replace him, they don't really have that option as things currently stand. And it's mostly due to the reputation and track record of the people that would supposedly replace Joe Biden. The first person that comes to mind is obviously Kamala Harris. I mean, she's his running mate, at least as it currently stands. Kamala Harris is the second in line to the presidency. Well, we all know Kamala Harris is one of the most disliked disasters in politics. Well, who's the third option? The same name we always hear, Pete Buttigieg. Yeah, he's the guy. Yeah, not so fast. I don't think so. Pete Buttigieg wouldn't stand a chance, and it's because of moments like these. Not only moments like these, just the track record. Let me show you guys exactly what happened here, as he was completely embarrassed during his visit to CBS's Face the Nation. This is the best that Democrats can do. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so can anybody say national embarrassment? Holy frickin' moly. It started off with a simple fact check. Take a look at this clip before we get into the really juicy stuff.
Donald Trump repeatedly talks about President Biden's decision to force the industry towards making 56% of car batteries electric by 2032, 13% hybrid. Listen to what he said in New Jersey recently.
Do you notice he's trying to save the electrical vehicle, but not the gas-powered, which is the vehicle that everybody wants. They're going crazy with the electric car, costing us a fortune. We're spending hundreds of billions of dollars subsidizing a car that nobody wants and nobody's ever going to buy.
He's not wrong. On the purchasing. He's not. Of the 4 million vehicles purchased, you know, what, 269,000 electric vehicles were sold in the U.S. market. It's up like 2%.
Every single year, more Americans buy EVs than the year. Well, this is really important.
More quickly?
Every single year, more Americans buy EVs than the year prior.
An utter embarrassment. Even CBS was able to admit that Donald Trump was right on the issue. Quote, we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars subsidizing a car that nobody wants. Only a little over 200,000 EVs were sold last year. Pete Buttigieg responds, oh, he's wrong. It's an increase of 2%. Wow, great success. You mean to tell me after the government spends hundreds of billions of dollars subsidizing these cars, there was a 2% uptick in demand? I don't know about you guys, but that sounds like a horrible waste of money. It's yet again another failure to add to the list. Regardless of how much they try to thrust this new technology upon the people, it's just not working. It's just not landing. And it makes sense why. The cars themselves are cool. I mean, I love Teslas, but there's just too much downside. There's too much inconvenience. You want to take a road trip, let's say a hypothetical trip that would take 17 hours to go from point A to point B. Well, if you're driving an EV, that trip's going to take, what, 2.5 days? It's just not working, but the government keeps on spending money. At this point, it's probably time to stop it. The Biden administration has failed in their initiatives. Let market forces work their magic and stop wasting taxpayer dollars. That's my view. And this takes us to the second clip, which I thought was even better or even more eye-opening. Just what I was mentioning earlier, the inconvenience of owning an EV. The argument from the other side would probably be, well, you know, the infrastructure's not there. Yeah, we get the infrastructure's not there. The question is, what are you doing to solve the problem? Well, apparently not much.
The Federal Highway Administration says only 7 or 8 charging stations have been produced with a $7.5 billion investment that taxpayers made back in 2021. Why isn't that happening more quickly?
So the president's goal is to have 500,000 chargers up by the end of this decade. Now, in order to do a charger, it's more than just plunking a small device into the ground. There's utility work, and this is also really a new category of federal investment. But we've been working with each of the 50 states. Every one of them is getting formula dollars to do this work, engaging them in the first handful, again, by 2030, 500,000 chargers. And the very first handful of chargers are now already being physically built.
After spending $7.5 billion in taxpayer monies, only 7 or 8 charging stations have been produced. Well, I guess they lost the infrastructure argument. Isn't it so interesting? Democrats keep going on and on about their infrastructure successes. The infrastructure bill, the infrastructure bill. Well, here's an example of infrastructure relating to a top priority of this administration, electrifying our economy. They produced 7 charging stations with $7.5 billion with a B. And this is the guy that's next in line to take on the Republicans. This is Mayor Pete, the young face of the Democrat Party's future. An utter disaster, an utter failure. It's simple. Government can't do anything right. These bureaucrats can't do anything right. All they want to do is take your money and produce very little with it. You know, Elon Musk's company, Tesla, if I'm not mistaken, at one point invested $1.1 billion, or roughly $1 billion, installing Tesla supercharger stations across the nation. Guess how many they installed? Over 2,000. So the government spends $8 billion, produces 7, Tesla spends $1 billion, and produces over 2,000. That is the perfect example. Yet again, it's government inefficiency and failure. And look, I'm not against EVs. I'm never against any form of technology. If a company wants to do R&D and produce a new technology and try to innovate in the sphere, I'm all for it. I love Tesla. I'm invested in Tesla. I like EVs. I just want the government to stay out of the frickin' way. They're not needed. Let the market do its thing. If the product is good, if it's truly innovative, if it's truly making a change, if it's useful, and it's good for society, you don't need to subsidize it to achieve mass adoption. Mass adoption happens naturally. Spending billions of dollars attempting to force or mandate mass adoption, and then bragging about a 2% year-over-year increase is not the big win you think it is. It's again more proof as to why government should be reduced. And most importantly, taxes, or the burden of taxes, should be significantly reduced. I mean, what an eye-opening moment. I hope regular people are watching this and finally starting to develop a little bit of government skepticism. That is what's needed right now, and it's needed at a level never seen before. Over the last 4 years, government has grown significantly. That's a very dangerous thing, because obviously when government grabs power, when government grows, well, it doesn't want to relinquish that power. It certainly doesn't want to shrink. People need to start waking up and waking up fast, or this will continue. They simply can't get anything right. And this is more proof of exactly that. I mean, I really just want to drive the point home. I want to repeat the same thing. $7.5 billion invested back in 2021, and only 7 or 8 charging stations have been produced. 3 freaking years. And this is their great infrastructure accomplishment. What an absolute disgrace. The argument makes itself. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.